Hey folks, welcome back. It's Jerry once again up here at Hilltop Firearms Training Center in Dover, Tennessee. Thanks for watching. So today we're going to go ahead and pick up with part 2 of our multi-part series, the aftermath following the use of deadly force. So this is going to be a new series. We already started with the first part that dealt with the moments following the use of deadly force. Today we're going to pick up where a law enforcement is arriving on scene. But before we go any further, there's just 2 points I want to bring up. Put them on the back burner, think about what I'm saying. 2 things I think you should at least consider. How many of you watching have already an attorney possibly lined up that could represent you in a use of force case? Think about that. Do you have somebody in mind? Here in where I'm located, I've done some research, and there's several well-known attorneys that have dealt with self-defense cases, and self-defense cases dealing with firearms, and have done very well. Some of them are located in the Nashville metro area. It may be beneficial to you to just maybe set up a consultation with someone, do some research, find someone in your area, just so you can introduce yourself. Have somebody lined up, let them know that, I take this serious, and I take the security of my family serious, and I go for training, and I train with my firearms, and I wanted to see if you would be someone in the event, hopefully never need your services, but in the event something does occur, you might want to establish a relationship now with someone like that. Okay, that's the first thing I wanted to kind of cover. The other thing is, there are several companies out there now that are offering what they like to call legal defense memberships. The NRA has one. There's CCW Safe. There's so many good companies. I'm not trying to leave anybody out. They have a lot of good things going for you, so you have one other thing in your court. You have compensation while in court. They offer a 1-800 number, 24/7, 24-hour a day. You can call somebody, someone's going to answer the phone following a use of force. Now, I would caution you on this. Many companies also give you a membership ID card. It's got your member number, so you need to know that number when you call. But on the flip side of that card, there is a series of things that you are supposed to say and not say, and it's almost like it's a scripted thing, so you dial 911 and you're reading it off. Now, while I understand the point behind that is, if you're full of adrenaline, we've already talked about how it can kind of mess with your mind. The one thing that you need to keep in mind is, could someone, say law enforcement, somebody, say they arrive on scene and they find you with that card in your hand, reading it off. Could they possibly use that against you later on, say if there's some type of a court trial involving, the following of the use of deadly force? I'm just, like a lot of you are going to be like, yeah, but that tells me exactly what to say. I get that. But maybe you need to have that more or less researched in your mind. Have their number, have their membership number in your phone. But somebody somewhere down the line can say, you just couldn't wait to get in a shooting. You were prepared from the start. I'm just saying that as just food for thought. What you do from that point on is up to you. I just wanted to kind of cover that because I've been thinking about that a lot lately, and I've had a lot of interactions with people, and they're like, yeah, I got this card. And I thought to myself, if I was an outsider looking in, I'd be like, boy, it's scripted, everything this guy was trying to say, and they take that and they use it against you. Just think about that. So let's move on. This video basically, this is part 2, picking up law enforcement has just arrived on scene. What do? A couple things that are extremely important. What you say and how you act are 2 things extremely vital on how this thing is going to turn out. How you present yourself, how you represent yourself when the law enforcement officials are starting to gather on scene. How you conduct yourself. First of all, The police arriving on scene are full of adrenaline as well. They're going to be telling you and giving you specific orders as to what to do. Clear commands. Whatever they are, follow them to the letter. The police are going to have questions. Of course, a shooting has just taken place. There is a person or persons perhaps dead or dying on scene by bullets that you shot them with. There's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But you have to also remember something. You are full of adrenaline as well. They are. What you say and how you say it can go one of two ways. So you need to remember providing brief, clear details as to what led to this violent encounter. You need to answer them. But you're also disoriented. You're on scene, you're shook up, a very, very violent encounter has occurred. You almost died. You used a weapon on somebody. I don't think you're going to be in the best states of mind at that moment. So I want you to kind of consider what you need to say and what you do not need to say. Be cooperative. Law enforcement is in charge. You are willing to work with them so they can put this puzzle together. But you act like the law-abiding citizen that you are. Another thing to think about is, as law enforcement, while they're on scene, is attempting to put this puzzle together, you need to assist them in whatever capacity you can, but keep it to a minimum. What I mean is, officer, there was a knife. It's probably over by the body. Point out any evidence that you know of, whether there was a knife, a gun, or they simply were using blunt force trauma on you, whatever it was, but point it out. We spoke about it in the last video, but if there is a weapon, make sure that they find it and give them clear direction as to, I believe it's there, it's next to the car. We do not want evidence disappearing from the scene. The other thing is, as long as you know that you did everything you could to avoid the situation, and the next thing you know, you had to shoot someone, and there are witnesses around, point them out. A good witness could be very beneficial for your case. Now, some people watching are going to say, yeah, but you never know what they're going to say. If you did everything right, and they can vouch for it, I don't see a problem with pointing out witnesses that are on scene that can say, yes, I heard the commotion. I heard that guy verbally tell him to step back or drop the knife. See where I'm going with that. Realize that you are dealing with an extremely serious few moments of your life, and you can say something to the effect to the law enforcement that's starting to, gather in your vicinity. You can say, listen, I'm willing to cooperate, but I would like to request that I have legal counsel present before I say anything more. There's a huge difference between saying it that way, articulating it that way, than saying, I'm not saying anything without my attorney present. Think about that. Isn't there a whole just different side of the story, but by saying it that way, or saying, listen, I'm willing to cooperate, officer. I'm willing to do whatever I need to, but I would, due to the nature of this and the seriousness, I would much prefer to have legal counsel before I proceed any further. There's nothing wrong with saying it that way, because you're not going to come across as being confrontational, that you're hiding something, that you're guilty. I'm not saying anything. If you say that, you already appear guilty. You already appear that you are hiding something and you are confrontational. You just shot somebody. The last thing you want to be is confrontational to the police. Remember something, guys. This is important, but you're the person that just used deadly force against another person. The person gave you no other choice. You had to defend yourself. Your life was in danger, and you shot them. The last thing you need to appear is confrontational to the police. They are there trying to conduct an investigation. They're trying to do their job and figure out what in the world just happened. And all of a sudden you're saying, I'm not answering that. That is not how you conduct yourself. You're a law-abiding citizen. You are forced to defend yourself. You will need to articulate what you did briefly. Inform law enforcement that you realize how serious this is, that you were fully cooperative and you were willing to give a formal statement, but not without your attorney present. I need legal counsel before I say anything further. That's okay to cooperate. It's okay to answer a few questions as to why is there a person laying here on the ground? But be very careful, and I liken it to this. I've said this before in other videos, but the effects of adrenaline have a crazy way of messing with people's minds. Think of people that have been involved in like a car accident. When I was in law enforcement, I worked a lot of accidents. I worked accidents with injuries. One thing that I noticed was common across the board. Even if people weren't seriously hurt, when they got out of that vehicle, they were just like dazed and confused. What happened? Man, I don't know, but that car came out of nowhere. How do you think you're going to act if you just shot someone? How do you think you're going to remember certain details at that very moment? We're going to get into that in our next video series. As always, I thank you guys for watching. If you would, post your comments below. Once again, keep them professional as possible. I thank you for watching. See you on the range.